Hello and welcome to the midweek edition of Journalist Hangouts. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Deputy Senate leader fires back at Obasanjo, claims he rejected former President's 50 million naira full-time bribe. President Buhari inaugurates Abuja-Kaduna rail services. And later in the program, Governor Adams Oshiomhole and PDP candidate Ise Iyamu in war of words. Joining me today are Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Wahid Bakare and Tunde Ambaton. Journalist Hangout starts in a moment. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo is good at making headlines. In 2012, he said states and national assemblies were populated by rogues and armed robbers. 2 years after, he repeated the same speech at the book launch in Lagos. In January this year, he wrote the Senate President Bukola Saraki and Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara accusing federal lawmakers of corruption, impunity and greed. On Monday, he was with President Buhari's guest in Aso Rock. Again, he said the National Assembly was a cesspool of corruption. But yesterday, the Deputy Senate leader, Bala Ibn Naala, claimed that he rejected his 50 million naira bribe in 2006 when he was seeking a third term as president. He dared Obasanjo to produce an evidence showing that he is corrupt and he would vacate his seat in the Senate. Is this the case of a corrupt angel challenging a holy thief? Tune. For some time now, President Olusegun Obasanjo has been talking about these lawmakers and what has been happening in the last 1 week or so and everything. It's like confirming our fears. Now, Ibn Nahala trying to exonerate himself that, look, you can't just make a blanket statement like that, that if you have any evidence against me that I, for one person from Edo State, I rejected your 50 million naira third-time gift.
Well, I think we have to go back to history. If in your intro you mentioned of the fact that the first time the former president mentioned the issue of corruption in the National Assembly was in 2012, and he was in the saddle as president between 2007 and 2015. Yes, one would have expected that we are hearing about all these things now because
1999 to 2007.
Yeah, one would have expected that all these things that happened has been happening for the past 17 years, between 1999 and today. That perhaps other leaders were not so courageous enough to call the bluff of the National Assembly. If they were so courageous enough, the issues we are dealing with today would not have been there. Yes, that is in the first instance. In the second instance, when we have a situation in which we have a National Assembly, which leadership have been accused of anticipated the declaration of assets, and the leadership is facing crisis since June 2015. We have been on it. 3 months ago, the leadership too was arraigned for forging the paper that produced this set of leadership. 2 weeks ago, both together, they are all members of the ruling party, APC, and the majority leader. He was removed. The chairman of the appropriation committee was removed because of a perceived corruption. He came back to
say we are all involved.
An attack on the speaker. And since he launched that attack, we have had a series of counter-attacks. And when you look at the fact that since last year, June 9 last year, the National Assembly have never debated, they have never tabled anything that has affected the interests of Nigeria. If they are not fighting about their welfare, they are fighting about how to buy a car or how to allocate position to them. Without necessarily, when people distribute money in the National Assembly, nobody signs for money except the salary you are earning and your allowances. So that we have all these twin issues within the leadership of the two chambers of the National Assembly. It means that a lot is happening in the National Assembly. And I think the leadership and the membership too should take a second look at themselves, whether they are doing what is right or wrong. If the leadership of the two National Assembly is now enmeshed in a crisis in which the whole world is pointing at, I think they have to have a rethink. I think they have to face the message and not the messenger. President Obasanjo was there for 8 years. He know what he saw, and his statement today is not a contradiction of his experience. So the leadership of the National Assembly, the membership should look at themselves. They should take a second look at themselves and ask and answer the question and face that particular challenge instead of looking at the messenger.
Wahid, they say EU want to go to equity must go with a clean hand. And if Obasanjo is saying that the National Assembly is a cesspit of corruption, and when you look at it, the first time we saw Ghana must go in large quantity in Nigeria was during his presidency. At that time, the House of Representatives, the Ghana must go and everything. And when he wanted a third term, we were told, we couldn't substantiate it, but we were told that those senators were induced with 50 million naira each. Some collected it and still voted against his third time policy.
Yes, in spite of the denial, there's nothing to be substantiated as far as that allegation is concerned. Because if you remember, it all started in 2004 when Waziri Mohammed, Andy Uba, who was a special assistant
on domestic
matters, and what was it? Jerry Ghana, who was also the SA political matters. They met, and I think it was this day newspaper that got wind of that meeting, and said the essence of that meeting was to start what the majority of Nigerians, regarded as the biggest joke of that year, that they want to push Obasanjo for third term. When it was reported in the media, they denied it, that there was nothing of such, that the purpose of that meeting was just to ensure that we had a free and fair election in 2007, which was the terminal year of President Obasanjo. But in 2005, that rumor resurrected again in faraway Germany, if you remember, when President Obasanjo visited the Transparency International office in Germany, whereby he said, some people were pushing him for third time. He didn't name them. That was when the rumor started all over again. But coming back home, Fani Kayode, who was also one of his aides at that time, denied the allegation that there was nothing of such. But he went ahead to add that the president will not stop anybody from campaigning, because it is within the confine of the Constitution that they have the right, to voice their opinion as far as that issue is concerned. But before you knew it, some organized private sectors, led by Festus Odumegu, they started the campaign all over again. Even
what's her name? Ndidi Okereke.
Yes, that
corporate Nigeria.
That corporate Nigerian woman. That even that Odumegu went to the extent of saying that there was nothing wrong. He also just should be in the saddle for the next 35 years. They organized a surprise birthday party for him, and it became the talk of the town that Obasanjo wanted a third time. And they went around the media houses. They did what we call wrap around in the print media, running into millions of naira, to campaign. And I remember I was still in Punch then. I remember very well that, because of the reach that Punch has, they were so desperate to have that advert placed in the Punch newspaper. But the management of Punch said, no, this is not Nigerian project. This is a project, being bankrolled by a few selfish individuals. And based on that moral ground, we rejected that. If you also remember that the immediate past president, who was then the governor of Bayelsa State, also came out to say, look, I was governor then. I knew what happened. Obasanjo actually wanted third term. So all this denial, they were just
afterthoughts.
They were just afterthought. He actually wanted it. Unfortunately, he didn't get it and was never happy about it. So I think that was what the senator, who attacked him, capitalized on that. Look, if we must come with to equity, must come with clean hand. If you are accusing us of being corrupt, you are also corrupt by trying to bribe us to endorse your third term, if not because of the majority of those who were in the National Assembly then rejected it. Perhaps he would have had his way.
Jide, we have two scenarios now. The scenarios we have now is that, okay, Ibn Nala is saying that you try to induce us, and Obasanjo is saying that he has always been consistent about saying this National Assembly is filled with corrupt politicians.
Well, I will not deny that the National Assembly is filled with corrupt politicians. I will also not deny that the government that Obasanjo ran was a very corrupt one. It was a very corrupt one. I always say is that Transparency International actually rated Jonathan as fighting corruption more than Obasanjo. The rating of Nigeria in terms of the corruption index was better under Jonathan than Obasanjo. These are verifiable things. People can check. So it's not just Jide saying it. It is what is verifiable. Obasanjo tries to parade himself as a fantastic moral specimen. But I know that Obasanjo is just as clean as a sewage pit. That's the way I see it. It's as clean as a sewage pit. We know what happened during the attempt to get a third term for him. People were bribed. Even before the idea of third term came, which was frustrated. Remember, Galinaba was giving him problems, and they tried to bribe the House of Reps members using Mr. Fix-It,
Tony Anene.
Tony Anene. And what Galinaba's people did was that they paraded the money, Obasanjo's money, they placed it on the table for the world to see. So many things happened under his time. The greatest corruption cases in Nigerian history happened during Obasanjo's time. Siemens, Halliburton, National ID card, that even cost a minister his life.
His life, yes.
Just under Afolabi.
Sunday
Yes,
Afolabi.
in very, very strange circumstances, S.M. Afolabi died. He was indicted, and then he died. So it is only people with short sense of history that he can deny. He can write 1 million books, just as I said yesterday. But the reality is you cannot continue to lie to Nigerians. He said he never wanted third term, that everything that he wanted, God gave him. But God knows that he badly wanted third term. The God that we serve knows that he badly wanted third term. He would have given his life for it if it was possible, but he was frustrated. And one of his trusted aides is the governor of Kaduna State now. Many of the people who worked under Obasanjo did not want to admit that there was actually a campaign for third term that was bankrolled by the presidency. El Rufai was the first to openly admit that yes, there was third time, that we actually wanted it. Now we've heard what Mantu said. Mantu was one of the, in fact, was the closest to him in the National Assembly. He was the Deputy Senate President of the time. Mantu said Obasanjo wanted it badly, and that when he didn't get it, he was not happy. The monies that these guys were spending, because Obasanjo made so many billionaires out of young people who were relatively unknown before 1999, and they invested in his politics. They tried to put him in power beyond the years that the Constitution allows. It is, in fact, is a demonstration of lack of patriotism for anyone to stand up and want to tinker with our Constitution with the intention of removing the term limits for
to do like any African leader.
I was visiting a Nigerian governor, a Southwest governor, and the former governor for your state, Alao Akala, was also visiting. They were talking about third time, and Akala was saying, well, if we all are going to benefit, yes, we'll support it. Because the governors wanted to know whether it was for Obasanjo alone. Yes.
Or the governors should go.
All of them. So if it is going to be for everybody, then the governors will support it. That's what he was saying. I heard him. The journalists in me made me to take a serious interest in what they were saying. I heard him clearly on the lawn of that governor's house. He was saying it. So this was well known. He has denied repeatedly, but
and
the
there's
reality
nobody that he has told that he told that time verbally.
Let me tell
he wanted
Nigerians, I will tell Nigerians one story now that Nigerians did not know. It is not the National Assembly that caused the third term to fail. It is Nigerian editors that caused the third term to fail, and I will explain why. Ken Nnamani was already for third time. Today, Ken Nnamani can parade like the biggest hero to come out of Nigeria. Ken Nnamani was for third term. He wanted third term. The news interviewed Ken Nnamani. And Ken Nnamani was preaching. I still have that copy of the news. It was anchored by Ademola Adegbamiwe, the interview. And he was preaching for third term in that interview. He was saying, look, the Asian Tigers, that their leaders, that they had more time and they are successful, talking about Korea and the rest of that. So he was trying to kind of let us know that, look, if this thing happens, it can actually bring about growth and development of our nation. His heart was with it. Then he came to Lagos to meet big editors in Nigeria. Babafemi Ojudu was my boss. He was supposed to attend that. Yes, Senator Femi Ojudu, who now works with the president. He was supposed to attend that meeting. He said I should go and represent him. We got to the meeting. Ken Nnamani presented, I'm sure people like how they come Olafe KK, they will remember this day because they played an active role that day. Ken Nnamani now presented this idea to us. Senator Saidu Dan Sadau, one of the most honest Nigerian senators that I've ever met. You know, he was an Obasanjo enemy. He was always criticizing Obasanjo. Senator Saidu Dan Sadau was also there on this day. If he's watching me, I'm sure he remembers. He presented this idea to us. All the editors said, no, Nigerians don't want this. We report what is going on in our country. We know that it is against the mood of our nation to go for third term. Nigerians don't want it. He now said, now, can you advise me? What should we do? I can't say with finality whether it was Kaode Komolafe or the MD of this day now, NAB.
Okay.
Enola Bello, that gave that suggestion that you know what you can do. If you think that your colleagues, your fellow senators want it, let them show this thing live. Let the Nigerians see their senators who want third term. He agreed. He went back to Abuja and started showing it. The first day, when they showed those senators asking for third time and all that, arguing for third time, they started burning houses of some senators. It began in Zamfara State. A senator lost his house. After that, knowing that they were being watched by Nigerians, those senators,
so
even
a lot
after,
of Nigerians, they thought that it was Nnamani's.
No, I'm saying Nnamani cannot stand before me and say that he didn't want third term because I can easily produce the interview that I granted. And Ademola Adegbamiwe is probably watching me. This is the truth. There are many things that our people don't know.
Thought he was
no, the real hero are the Nigerian editors. The meeting was held at a hotel and suites. The real heroes, because we told him that look, don't do it, and look, what you can do is let Nigerians see this their so-called representatives live. After the first day, the complexion of the debate changed.
I remember.
So that's what happened. After that first day, those who were campaigning the first day, and Punch was doing something, was it Punch or another paper? They will put a summary of those senators who were in support and those. Yes,
I remember that.
They changed. They had taken money. They had taken money. They were taking money, no doubt, from the corporate Nigeria was bankrolling the project. They had taken money, but this was now a case of saving your head.
Yes.
Your life is at stake. Nigerians did not want third term. So they had no choice. They had to go and argue against it. And after collecting money from the corporate Nigeria guys. So this
Adolfo
is what happened.
My people, oh my people.
This is what happened. You see, Nigerians, most of the time, people who have even done so much harm against their country, after a few years, they come back and start talking like heroes. You now see them, they speak good English. So, this is a fantastic person. I see even Chasoludo occasionally talking like the best thing to happen to Nigerians in sliced bread. Some of us know what he did when he was there. as CBN governor. But his matter is for another day. But the reality is, Obasanjo has no moral right. Given what happened, remember the case of his boy, Bodunde Adeyanju.
Yes.
Yes, remember him? Remember Makanjuola, whom he told the EFCC to enter in nolle prosecute against.
Yes.
Is that how to support the corruption war? When you tell EFCC to discontinue a corruption case, but everywhere he goes,
400 million.
I challenge you to go and read El-Rufai's book. El-Rufai said in that book that the former Secretary of Government of the Federation recommended the pruning of Nigerian ministries, but Obasanjo overruled him and abused him. That's that Bauchi man. But today, I was reading in the papers that Obasanjo suggested that we should reduce ministries, we should prune spending. What you didn't do during your time. Every time you are trying to undermine Buhari by saying that this is what he should do, this is what he is not doing.
Tunde, if you count the number of visits of former President Olusegun Obasanjo to Mr. President, I don't know, because a lot of people.
How can they count?
No, I'm just saying the frequency, the number of times.
I'm just imagining whether you can count.
The number of times that he has visited Aso Rock and everything. Why does he always want to hug the headlines?
I think we are going to look at it from three perspectives. Even in the US, as a former president of Nigeria, no matter what, who is there, you have an access to the sitting president. Let us say, at least in the interest of the nation, if the meeting is in the national interest. Number two, remember that Obasanjo was appointed as a special advisor or clinical plenipotentiary. That's the role he's playing in Africa by even President Buhari. So he said he went to Zambia and some other things. And he has been doing this thing right from probably 1989 to going on. Right? Even for Babangida, he was doing it for Babangida, so you can explain that. But the problem with Nigeria is that at every point in time, our leaders always appropriate national personal interest. They elevate it to national interest. So you cannot say with all authority that all these visits are for the interest of Nigeria. It may be for some other things that you and I don't know. But let us admit that as a former president of Nigeria, you have an access to a sitting president. But not all those visits that they will come out. Yes, he could have come out yesterday and said he came to brief the president, but they will never tell you what happened behind the scene. So it is not impossible that the visit is both political, both international in nature, and both personal in nature, which you cannot rule out.
I have Patrick. Patrick is calling me from, I think, Abuja-Kaduna. Hello, Patrick.
Yeah, hello. Good evening.
Good evening, Patrick. Thank you for joining us.
I want to really appreciate you people for what you're doing.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yes, but first of all, I want to say this. Obasanjo and his age group should please leave us alone.
Yes, sir.
Because they have not made anything better for us in Nigeria. I just read on a list today where Obasanjo, during his tenure, after his tenure, from the U.S. reports, stole about 20-something billion naira, out of which 16.4 billion was from our power sector. Now, when Buhari came into power, we now read again that he just returned 200 and something million.
We can't substantiate all those things. We can't substantiate
calling a toilet a pit toilet. Obasanjo, as my brother has said, the one with the native dress.
Thank you. Thank you. You were making claims that we can't substantiate. We can't prove it that the man has gotten away with anything. Now, Wahid, now going to the National Assembly now, the message proper. With the development in the National Assembly, maybe is the convener of that information and everything is not somebody that, is not a good symbol too, because he did the same thing.
He introduced corruption to the National Assembly. Look, when we were growing up, when Shagari was the president, we never knew anything like taking money to National Assembly to go and bribe them. We never knew anything like that. Ghana must go. Carry money in Ghana must go was a symbol of the Obasanjo era.
If you remember the present Kaduna State governor right now, when he wanted to be confirmed, is he out as FCT minister?
It was this Mantu and Co. who was
Senator Mantu and Senator Zungina.
Yes, like Abaton said, the other time, it's quite unfortunate that the National Assembly, has become synonymous with corruption, and it started long ago. Remember when I think it was Wabara when he was the Senate president. Was it Wabara? I think it was Wabara, whereby one of the ministerial nominees, was asked to provide money, and eventually provided, I think, 50 million naira for them to drink coke.
Professor Fabian Osuji.
Yes. That okay.
They took the money from different agencies.
He said, "That's your man. He wants to become minister. He was this, he was that at a point in time. Up to today, we have not drank his coke, and the man provided 50 million naira for them to drink coke. So it has always been like that. Anytime. Perhaps I think it was during this
that was a trap.
Yes, I think it was during this last ministerial nominee that we didn't hear anything of such. Perhaps because of the body language, perhaps because of the body language of the man who is at the ends of affair. I'm talking about the president now. It has become the practice. If you are coming to the National Assembly for screening, you can't go there.
Drop money for cola nuts
for them.
But they will not also show
you money. That they are showing money.
Of course,
let's not assume that the people still don't get lobbied. Let's not assume that Nigeria has become extremely clean under Baba. Look, the lobbyists, their friends, will know how to reach out to these people and make sure that...
at least it was not as pronounced as it was.
You see, even that one, you see, it was an exception. The case of Wabara was an exception. It wasn't in all cases that you were familiar with the fact that money was shared and all that. You see, the corruption in the National Assembly has always been there. Look at what we are witnessing now. These revelations about pardon. It's even unprecedented.
Honestly.
It's unprecedented. It has moved from 284 billion now to about 400 and something billion. And the revelations are still on.
A budget of 6.6 trillion.
They know how they make money.
They are running on deficits.
One of my bosses, he was working with one of the federal government agencies, and they went to the National Assembly to go and defend their budget. They went with a particular amount of money. I think it was around maybe less than 1 billion naira. Okay, Wahid, let me quickly run. When we return, President Buhari inaugurates Abuja-Kaduna train for commercial services. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Nigeria used to have a vibrant rail system in the 60s and 80s, but as governments come and go, this vibrant system was abandoned and rendered ineffective. In 2009, the last administration attempted to change the course of history. It started the construction of a standard rail gauge between Abuja and Kaduna. 7 years after, President Muhammadu Buhari completed the project, and it is now open for commercial services. Today, Nigerians can travel from Kaduna to Abuja for as little as 500 naira in the economic coach and 1,000 naira in the business coach. No doubt, this will take a lot of pressure off our roads, and goods can be more efficiently transported. But why did it take Nigeria so long to get to the part of normalcy? Tunde?
Well, I think the first time that we had a railway in Nigeria was 1903. 1903. And it is unfortunate that it took 103 years for us to take the step of changing the old gauge to the standard gauge, by which all modern nations all over the world travel. Yes, having said that, thank God that we have done it, but we have to know one thing. You see, I have always been telling people that Nigeria has 774 local governments. Enemies of Nigeria, they are in all these local governments. Why we cannot have a standard rail is because of the cabal that has always been holding Nigeria down. Babangida tried to do it through the IBB spirit when Ogbomidia was Minister for Transport. But that spirit died probably 2 years after it took off, because they could not resuscitate all the lines. So come to think of it, in year 2015, we are still using the gauge that was built in 1903, and we thought that you can meet up with the rest of the world. I just think that maybe this is a challenge for President Buhari. Challenge is, it says that the Minister for Transport admitted yesterday that it was started by the previous regime. And that by the time they took over last year, it was 90% completed. President Buhari has 3 more years to spend. And part of the campaign manifesto of the APC is that they are going to construct 2 rail lines, one from Calabar to Lagos, another one from Lagos to Kano. In fact, it was a subject of budget padding or removal or whatever you describe it during last year. So I think this is the first, it should be the first major step. If President Buhari can give us 2 things, rail, transportation, and light. If we can have those 2 things, Nigeria will be wed together, because Nigeria are not bothered about whether anybody is the president. Let him go ahead and make sure that all the remaining lines that were constructed in 1903 that cannot perform in the year. How can you be traveling from Abuja? When I was very young, they used to travel from Abuja to Kano 3 days. That was probably 40 years ago. We are still using the same mode, and you hope to develop as a people. They normally use rail to take Pojo products from Lagos port and petroleum products to the north. To the north. But now, the reverse is the case. Your vehicle has to travel all the way from Lagos port. Pressure on the road. Look at the Lagos-Ibadan expressway. We have much pressure. When you are traveling to Ibadan from Lagos, you will see undulation along this road. Because most of the vehicles that are leaving Lagos to Ibadan, to the north, the pressure is on here. But when you are coming back from the north, we travel through Ibadan, the pressure is less. So that is why the rate of depreciation of that road is more on the axis, Lagos-Ibadan axis, than the Ibadan-Lagos axis. So the best thing for this government is that they promised us, I keep on saying it, if APC promised that they are going to resuscitate the rail line. Let President Buhari make sure that the 2 lines that were included in this year's budget, no miracle will make it to disappear. The Lagos-Ibadan, Lagos-Kano road and Calabar-Lagos road. In spite of all the crisis we had with the budget, nobody will pad it again.
Wahid, looking at this, I think this is a welcome development, and when you want to look at the federal government to link capitals with railways, according to President Muhammadu Buhari, that's, so that to put off pressure from the road transport.
Yes, it's a good development. There's no doubt about it. After many years that we have been expecting this. For those who have been to abroad, you discover that in most cases they rely more on a rail system. And I remember in Germany I saw a bit of that. When you get to the train station, you see a lot of bicycles being parked. Even some people will even bring their bicycle into the coach. Life is so easy there. There will be less pressure on the road. Why is it that
it's so perfect? You don't need to buy a vehicle.
A Tokumbo car that has been used for
10 years,
10, 15, 20 years. When they brought them here to Nigeria, they look so new. It's because they are not being used anyhow. The roads are good. They have a very effective railway transport system, and it's very cheap. And they work with time. Because of the fact that they work with time, people can also they have a way of timing themselves. You can say, okay, in the next 1 hour, I want to be in Oshodi, and you are sure you'll be in that Oshodi. And I remember that the one that I took, was a bit late for about 5 minutes. And in order for him to make sure that he did not keep passenger for too long at the other hand, he had to speed up a bit to cover up that 5 minutes that he got delayed. That's the kind of system they operate there. Also, it will help us in the area of agri, whereby people are complaining that, the roads are bad. They can't bring a perishable goods from one state to another. It will take a longer period. This is faster. The railway system is a bit faster in that regard, because of the fact that it has its own routes. Whereby things can get faster to people, and it will also lead to the fact that there will be a reduction in the price of this farm produce. Because of the fact that by the time they had transportation and the rest, the farmers will not have any other choice than to increase their farm produce. I think it's a good thing. It's also a good thing that the president acknowledged the fact that it was started by the previous administration. So it's a good thing that he acknowledged that. Let us see what he's going to do concerning what he promised to do in the area of improvement of rail system.
Jide, how will this system boost economy? Because we know that before now, we know that when the coaches I see around Lagos, you just see people, you know, on top of them, and
the majority of them
from Oyibo, from Oyibo to E4, and the class of people, the kind of people that patronize. In terms of security, how will an average Nigerian have, you know, access to this kind of facility?
And what we should actually be hoping that we see is a spread of this transportation facility. There's nowhere in the world where commuting is vehicle based, whereby you use buses and all that. No. The best form of commuting is by rail, either by light rail or other forms of railway. How many people can you move in cars and buses? That's not done. It just suggests that we remain backward as a country, that we continue to rely on trucks, on buses and all that to move around in our country. So President Buhari, I remember in the interview that he granted TVC, he said that his focus is not on aviation, that he wants to resuscitate the railways, because that way we can actually move more people and goods and services will
this price is cheaper, 500
Yes. About 2 hours drive, 2 hours.
So goods and services will be moved around the country seamlessly. What needs to be done is the security of the people, must be taken into consideration, because this is the era of terrorism. So you have to, in terms of comfort, yes, they've been doing this for years. You see that, okay, there's comfort in those trains, but we have to take security.
It's not too popular, and people they've not really embraced it.
Let me also say that this project actually began in 2006. But the moment Yaradua took over, Yaradua had to look at, review the project, because the project was inflated. The cost of the project was inflated. Yaradua now traveled to China to renegotiate and rescope the project. But unfortunately, we lost him, and in 2010, Jonathan resigned the contract. And actual construction work began in 2011. As Rotimi Amechi admitted yesterday, the last administration had done 90% of the work before Buhari came into office. Now Buhari has to take it further, do a lot more of this. Yesterday I was saying,
because I wanted to ask you,
the second Niger bridge, President Buhari must make it a priority. By the time you start doing for the people what they want, you will win a lot of them to your side. Many presidents usually start, become unpopular in the beginning. People will not understand what they really want. But by the time he begins to get it right, and the people can see the dividends of democracy, the attitude will change. So some of those who are actually supporting Biafra and those who needlessly hate the president, the whole story will change when they can see that the president is doing certain things for them. So I want to see a lot more of this. We actually need a situation whereby rent in Abuja is too expensive.
So
a situation whereby somebody is working in Abuja and is resident in Kaduna is what we want. Once transportation is seamless, you are guaranteed that you get to work and come from jobs. There's no point staying in Abuja and choking up Abuja. Abuja is a lot different to what El-Rufai left behind. You see now that Abuja is congested now. You even see fields that was a reality during the El-Rufai years. Yes, we can accuse him of high-handedness, that short man in Kaduna, but at least we saw what he was doing. So now we must focus on decongesting Abuja, either by creating new cities around Abuja where housing will be affordable, or this what we have done now with this rail initiative. will allow people to
live
work
elsewhere, very close to
in Abuja and live in Kaduna. Not everybody can go and pay
What's the
700,
job?
800,000 for
Nigeria
3
Railway
bedroom flats.
Corporation, what have they been doing today?
Well, at the time when President Obasanjo was head of state in 1978, I think there was a time he hired Indians to come and manage Nigerian Railway Corporation. But you have to know that, yes, for inviting Indians, probably because they have the largest population and their rail network was working. But between 1979 and 1986, when Babangida took over, the railway was dead. That was why he came with the idea of IBB spirit. But that spirit too died 2 years after the thing started, because they were trying to revive a rail system, locomotives that have been dead a long time ago. How can you be using locomotives that were imported years ago?
You see,
we thank God that the Senate President made mention of something yesterday.
This take 2 hours to get to Abuja.
No, 1 hour 15 minutes to Kaduna.
From where?
Not to, from
It must
Abuja
be
to
very
Kaduna.
fast.
Abuja, very fast now.
You
Abuja
see,
to
the
Kaduna.
one
faster
hero,
than that
No.
locomotive.
You see, one hero
One-
of this project that Nigerians need to know is that Sokoto Prince, former Minister of Transport, Yusuf Suleiman. Yusuf Suleiman invested so much hard work
Making
to
sure that
get
the
this
thing took
project
off.
started, and every time he will go and inspect and make sure that things were going on fine. At that time, the chairman of the Senate Railways Committee was Senator Damarke from Katsina. So a lot of people had worked to get us to where we are today, and it makes sense
collective thing.
to give them the credit that they deserve.
I think we have to also have to follow what the Senate President said yesterday, that the bill that to empower, to allow all the states, all the major cities in Nigeria to operate their own railway system that's passed through the second reading.
Beautiful.
And they are waiting. So when
So
you
that
do
it
that,
will
we are
be
from
an
Bondu.
exclusive
We are
thing.
from Bondu, Nigeria. That is part of restructuring we are talking
We are
about.
talking
We are
about.
from Bondu, Nigeria. It's still like Lagos.
But what we
have
need
two rail
is
systems.
fast rail.
Fast rail,
not this
And
not
the issue of
old,
maintenance is also very important.
Maintenance.
Maintenance.
Yes.
No,
How is the
those
culture
people built
whereby
it now.
we lack
They
maintenance?
finance it. So we have to
We
make
should also look into that.
So
area.
this one, less than 2 hours in Abuja.
It's in Kaduna.
It's in Kaduna from Abuja.
Yes, it's 150 kilometers per hour.
Which is even better than
better.
traveling by road.
It's
But
better
the road
than
is not good.
500
Not at all.
That's the road that
And
claims
just-
the minister's
that
life.
The
Minister-
risk is even less.
And you know that in UK,
almost.
Ordinarily, you will do,
accident,
whether you like it or not, you will do at least 1.5 hours to get to
do you know that in UK,
By road,
all
by
the
road,
major
go by
all
fast
the major airports in UK are being by rail.
Yes.
It's only in Nigeria that everybody, big man, they take
course,
their
now.
car to the rail.
Yes,
All
no.
major airports.
Everybody want to
everywhere
doing
you
by
are
road.
going now.
You
From
must
Heathrow
go-
now, they put you in
The tube, and you go there now. Why be taking your car to the
I hope that
All right.
we'll develop, we'll become
To that level.
an advanced country one day.
Moving on now. Come September the 10th this year, the electorate in Edo State will be electing a new governor. As we all count down to the dates, the political atmosphere in the state reeks of needless attacks on personality of politicians rather than focusing on real issues. Lately, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Izeyamu, and the sitting governor, Adams Oshomole, have been at war. Izeyamu accuses Governor Oshomole, his former friend, and his boss of corruption, and promises to probe him when elected. But Oshomole did not mince words when he replied Izeyamu that he would first go to jail before probing him. Is this the kind of rhetorics that Edo State people will hear till they go to the poll? We are not what has been coming out of the Edo State, and you know that this is like a precursor to violence, because when it's all about Adams Oshomole is not coming out to articulate that in 8 years, this is what we've done, this is what we've done, and we're going to, if you vote for the person I want to put there, or if you vote for the All Progressive Congress candidates, that we are going to do this, we are going to do that. And I watched the launch of Izeyamu campaign at Urumi also. I watched, and you know, on one other network, it was despicable to say the least.
Well, I think the major problem we have in this country, and we keep on saying, is that this idea of do or die. Do or die. You want to be a councillor, it is do or die. You want to be chairman of local government, it is do or die. It is unfortunate that I haven't spent 16 years. And it's also unfortunate for Governor Adams Oshiomhole. I haven't spent 8 years. He should have, we were expecting is the person who he wanted to succeed him to come out and articulate all those programs that he wanted to do if he comes to power. Look at Ambode in Lagos. He came and said, well, before Fashola left, he had the 12-year development plan for Lagos State. Ambode came and perfected some of it and moved ahead. All the roads that have been built in Lagos, Ambode said he will light it. And by today, about 60% of major roads in Lagos.
The continuity is working.
The continuity is working. One would have expected that. But then looking at the nature of Edo politics, it is not too different from what we had in Rivers. The only fear one now has is that, are we going to have the election we have this year? Is it going to be like the one we have in Rivers State?
Well, but right now they've cancelled.
Cancelled Rivers State that was typified with violence. Unfortunately, like I said, politicians from both sides, they have decided to put issues behind and now attacking personalities. And Yamu happens to be a former aide to Oshiomhole. So we have allowed do or die to tartify our politics. And it's unfortunate because Edo people are very sophisticated people. They have been known to be voting for a very long time. So why now at this particular time, 16 years after the advent of democracy, nobody is talking about any issue? The candidate has not come out to say, I'm going to improve on the number of secondary schools built by Oshiomhole or the number of roads. The other ones too that is claiming to challenge is also just accusing Oshiomhole. It's attacking personality.
Very quiet. As in it's
unfortunate.
Oshiomhole is like the person contesting again.
Another leg to it is that this is the biggest another test to INEC because all the elections we have been having is unfortunate. Maybe this is an INEC of inconclusive election. Even National Assembly election, primary election, they are saying it is inconclusive.
For that, I think it's the fault of the politicians because
where INEC too has to be prepared. Where the politicians not there in
violence, when the politicians,
but we
had
politicians last year when the former INEC chairman Jega conducted an election. So I think both sides have to guard up their loins. INEC has to do something about its image. Okay. They have to be seen to be prepared to give us a free and fair election. The politicians, their factor is always there. They are always do or die, fire and brimstone. You will die, you will collapse. It's unfortunate that issues are no more.
Wahid, September 10, we're counting down. And from what you've been getting?
Yes, it should continue like this. As long as we continue to make political offices, very, very attractive, situation whereby public officials, they are exposed to a lot of money. They know what is at stake. It is not about the people. It is about their own selfish interest. That's why they want to go to any length to make sure that they get whatever they want. And that's why you see all this. We saw worse thing during the last general election. A situation whereby people left issues and they were attacking personality to the extent of placing adverts saying that this person will soon die. Why do you want to vote for him? People left issues and they were attacking personality. It will continue
taking a cue from what happened in 2015.
Yes, it will continue this way because of the fact that politics is not about people, it's about selfish individuals who want to go all the way to make sure that they occupy particular posts. That's why we are seeing all this, and it will not change. It won't change.
So, Jude, what do you think about what is going on?
You see what is going on in Edo State now is similar to what played out in Rivers. Oshiomhole has forgotten that he's not the candidate in the election. The same way that Amechi forgot that he had done his 8 years. Amechi actually took over the campaigning. The fighting words, the belligerent language were all coming from Amechi. In fact, Dakuku was hardly talking. And when he spoke, he was really soft-spoken. This is what we are seeing in Edo State. Obaseki is hardly opening his mouth. Maybe occasionally when he wants to yawn, he opens his mouth. It is actually Oshiomhole doing all the talking, abusing other people, and then you expect that when you are a sitting governor, if you do not show respect to people, you are abusing them in the way you have been doing. Remember the other day he said the PDP is as light as a loaf of bread. You don't expect them to be looking at you. Because that respect, you are as the governor, you are the repository of the respect of that state. If you throw that repository of respect away, and you go down to the gutter level, you start abusing people, using all kinds of foul language, they are going to respond in kind. And when they respond in kind, honestly, you are not going to like it. And in the process, you are heating up the polity badly. I was listening to the INEC woman, Amina Zakari, yesterday. Amina Zakari was saying, look, people are talking about inconclusive elections. This is how it starts. Politicians heat up the polity, and then at the end of the day, you feel that somebody who has abused you so much, you must give your best to ensure that this election is not you make sure that that person doesn't win. And how do you make sure that it doesn't win? You use all means possible, including foul means. That is what we are seeing. If they continue the the exchange of words in the days leading to the elections, they will start killing people.
It's as if they will
start killing people. People will now see that see, Obasanjo left the scene years ago. He is the apostle of the do or die politics. He actually said it, that the election must be do or die. But the old man has left. Younger people who are on the scene now should not actually be preaching do or die politics, because you make life difficult even for INEC. People think that this election is about life and death. The way they are abusing themselves, it will get to their supporters. Their supporters will see one another as enemies. So at the end of the day, violence takes over. And then on election day, you see that INEC will say, oh, this election is inconclusive, and violence reigned in this particular constituency. So the politicians are the cause. Was it not a group of politicians that went to set ablaze the INEC office in Rivers State? Was it Professor Yakub that set the place ablaze? So they are the ones who cause all these problems. And I think that Oshiomhole should not do exactly what Amechi did in Rivers State. You don't have to. It's not a life and death affair. I don't even think it's right for a governor to insist that he must put his person there. No, let the people choose. If the people, look, in America, Clinton was a successful president. Clinton was a successful president. He promised 10 million jobs and created 13 million. But in spite of that, Americans rejected his deputy, Al Gore. They rejected Al Gore, even in Al Gore's home state. It was George W. Bush that won. You know? So, politicians, you don't have to install your own person. Let the people choose. Why should a governor continue to be abusing people in this manner? And you are hitting up the politics.
The same thing for People's Democratic Party too. They're not faring well too. As in, I've seen Ezeyamu, and it's still the same pattern.
Well, I think like he has said, if the chief executive of the state, who is supposed to elevate the art of governance, the art of politics, and make it issue-based.
But they are not still telling us what they will do better.
And they will not tell us
PDP, they are not saying that, look, Oshiomhole has failed.
If you spend all the time responding to an attack,
by you,
somebody abused you, he said that you will go to the table. You spend all that time. What time are you going to find to talk about what you want to do for the people?
And the people are not even asking questions.
They're not asking questions. It's not more issue-based.
It's not about the people anymore.
You
think they care about the people? They don't care about the people.
It's about their power.
If you care about the people, they won't be doing what they are doing.
That's why I say it's about them. It's about their own selfish interest.
It's a winner takes all affair.
To cover their yansh, all these governors.
It's a winner takes all affair. And it's very unfortunate that Nigerian politics has remained stagnant. When are we going to develop as a people and start practicing politics the way it is practiced in the developing countries? These politicians go abroad, they even go there and bring girlfriends back home. But the reality is they do not learn the finest lessons in those countries. They do not learn. They just go there. Almost every week some governors are traveling, but they don't learn anything.
So I think it is in their own interest, for them to watch their utterances as well as their actions. Because whether we like it or not, the politicians, they are the greatest beneficiary of this democracy. What do they do for the masses? So if eventually, by their action and utterances, they truncate this democracy, they are going to be the ultimate loser at the end of the day.
God will not allow them to truncate.
All right, we're counting down September 10. Just tune in to continue to watch Television Continental. We'll bring you bit by bit accounts of what will be unfolding days ahead, as we're counting now to the September 10th governorship election in Edo State. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 You can also watch Journalist Hangout on YouTube. That is youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.